Ya, fatalo fatu ile nei foi taimi le fafonganga tatou tunu ua maiso lau mai mo mai. O le taimi nei le ua tu sa watu tatou fasalunga nei ile fale po le mota le nei ia ale pulenga nu ua porirua o lo fatou tai ia le fa mo o le fa mo tui no le tolu sifuru tau sanga. Ia o le tautua le sifonga le lau mo i tonu ni usila ia po Wellington e foi. Tonu ia fatalo fatu mau folo fatu le tunu. Ia o le porkalame lava lena ia o le sifuru e amata i le saudinga. Ia le mai tauina o lo ngā solo mai pēle tunu. Ia mai tuo taimi foi nei pisi ele wala. Ia lo winga le te ufatu ai le titi le tatou porkalame. Ia le ua leva na sauni le tatou whainga luenga le pule ma le kuit whafoi. Ia pe o le taunu mai o le malu le tunu e mafu ai. Ia le ua nei lava le tatou whainga luenga le fitu le tae au. Ia pe o le tau silisila mai nei tono le fale nei. Ia uno foia foi no foi disi o lau walaulia. Ia fa malulu toi foi nisi o le mafai no pa au mai nei tae au. Ta ua tele oe le tautua le sifonga le lamua. Matua ta ua lava oe. Oe lo e anga le nei. Tatalo. Ia le te leo le whaasoa i lungo le ea. Whaalongolongo whaafonga mai sosi a wala. Ia ai o le la tatono foi e tātātu e sunga tuto le waa le tātou ofisa ia le musika ia mtalatal no atu. Ia la whanga solo pe tātou me poeata i nei Italia il porkalame. Ia o se talatu na le teimu tai au. Ia matango fiel tau polidua. File mu foi. Ia o lo mai tauina foi lau tutu le tau tele le pito ulu mo la tala noa ma fio ofo tai foi la ua felo i fiel ni as. Ia o lo ngā solo mai pele ma malu le tino. Ia a wale tāpi nei no leifa mo ta ua. Ia whafitei lava.
Wapokonga mai a Samoa, I say hi to Londana. Tawai si onu o sili o na manaya. Unia pa ole malai pono, watu e pa Samoa. O pese ai tamai tiu le pegina. Esi onu esile ane. Se poi una vina e una pone io qui a fare in amore uala in opa bene e mulino e fai le amore
Ia tala fatu le tātou tunu le nei vaenga o le tae au. Le ua ono minuti le ua tēni ritu lai sifulu. Le tautua le siu fonga la mui Wellingtoni. Le Samoa Capital Radio. Le nei aso ma le whamoe moe. Whamana tuina o le tolu sifulu tausanga. Talu ona whaavai mai le tautua le siu fonga la mua I Aotearoa New Zealand nei. Manatu le tae au na le la le sa e wha fonga mai ai. I le wha salalonga mua mua. A le tātou le tio. Ia lea sa whakaina ia lātou fōina lātou ngawha mana ngā luenga ia I le amataina mai o le tautua le tātou le tio. Lea sa e whaafonga ia I tūlanga fōi o saunoanga whaamtoa. Sa iai le aso mua lea, le aso lua se fulmaliva o iuni I le tausanga tasi iwa lua. Tausanga tasi iwa lua. Ia lea sa whangaina fōi le tātou tinu. Ia le fionga I le tōtōli, tō filau eti alisana. Ia o le pāle mia lea lona lima o le tātou malo Samoa. Ia o ia lea sa mafuta mai I Samoa, I lona mota ia pia. Wha ilo mai I fōi le nganga whaftai o le malo Samoa. Ia ona o le tamawhainga le tātou li tio le siu whonga o le mua. Ia lea ua la whaatūlanga ina ma whaatūlai mai. Ma whaavai nei le nā vai tau. Ia tali whai tau fōi le fionga I le sui pāle mia o le malo New Zealand. Honourable Don McKinnon, le sa whaafonga fōi le tātou tunu, ia I lana fōi a saunoanga whaamitoa I lunga o le tio I le nā aso mua na te talai whaasalonga le siu whonga o le lau mua. Ia mai mana tua I pia I lātou, ia sa lātou tongi maa uma, ia mana ngā lue I le whaavaina mai o le tio. I nei tausanga I tele. Ia manatu le sirisira mai o le tātou tinu ma le whaafonga mai le vaenga o le tae au. Ia o tutonu nei o le nofuanga I Man Gavin. Ia o loo whaataunu I nai tō tātou whaamoe lea o le whamanatu ina o le tolu sifuru tausanga o le siu fonga o lau mua. I le mai tau atu le nei tae au, ia, le ngai mai fōi o nisi o malo whaalo alongia, ia le ngata fōi leo nisi o whaala pututoka, ia mai la tō lo ngālo lue, ma le tātou le tio, le mai tau atu le fionga I le komisina o le tātou malo Samoa New Zealand, ia la fionga I le matua I Aleasi, o pāli I Tommy Scanlon, ia man whanatua I a Joyce, ia le ua I tono le tātou malo nei, wan wha moe le so, mai tau te fōi ia le fionga I le pulnu o le unanganu koridua ia the worship the mayor Anita Baker o le wano fōi fōi no fuanga nei aso e la ngata fōi lea sui o whaaruruka le matanga luenga le malo e la ngata fōi lea ia le matanga luenga le seifo malo luina lo ia fionga ia tangaloa junior ulu ia ma le tautua a pūlenga whawharimai le CCDHP ia o loo no fōi ia no fuanga I le tau nei.
So Samoa, say tell to another, see a tainoa, Hawaii mata, e a whenene, e mai moa. E mahalo si mai le atua, ala tama potu, e fua.
Ia, le whaafonga le tātou tunu le vaenga o le tae au le ua sifuru maleona minuti le utene ni tulai sifuru manatu I nai minuti o mua ia on a matalia leo le tātou wha moe ia I le tātou saudinga lotu whampitoa ia e whapa I ai ma wha manatu ai ia le nei aso whampitoa le atoanga o le tonu sifuru tūsanga o le tautua ma le awaunanga le siu whonga o le laumua I Wellington ia wafula na tautua ia Samoa I Aotearoa New nei ia o le fongo le aso ia o tofa sua fole kush ia o ia leo la ngafa mal fa moe o nei tai au.
Ki ngā rau rangatira mā e mihi kia koutou ngāti toa rangatira te mana whenua o nei rohe. Ka mihi kia koutou greetings and good morning. Kia rana malo e lelei, malo ni Ula vinaka, whakalofalahi atu, whakalofa, tālofa atu, tālofa lava, a whio mai, matala mai, ao. O lau ngā luenga I le tae ao, o le leo foi lea, e whaasolo le polo kalame. Ia, ai whaamalulu atu o le a matal tātou polo kalame I le, inai rules foi lea o le mauta nei. I'll be your traffic cop today to ensure that I'm not in between you and the meal that we have prepared for you. So we have some housekeeping rules to advise you of. In an event of fire, please exit through the doors that are well marked and make your way to the collection point at the car park. Please use wherever you can to get to the car park. That won't happen. In an event of an earthquake, don't panic. Just drop, cover and hold. You've got beautiful tables in front of you. And for the young and able bodies, please take care of our folks and those who need help amongst us to get to a safe place. The bathrooms are outside to the foyer there, left and right. There is a number of our community who have supported the Samoa Capital Radio in ensuring that today, the venue, the place that you have come to share, will be a place that we can share together. And unless you are the Prime Minister, please don't park your car alongside here. This is a turning point for the school, for the parents to come and collect them. So those are just basically housekeeping rules. And for now, I'm going to ask our chairman, Le Fionga au matangi tunu mafono, kena akui, to welcome our community here. So my love, so far.
Na sa vali atu le tama I tulu I pae o le maota a o whaia le alofisa o la inga sa tanga loa langi. Mausu lana pese whapea. Tai o manu, sa tanga loa ai o a inga la lo. O le ale winga o ia upu. E whainga tā a inga. E whainga tā a inga. Tu loutou pa ia a inga ma tapa au. O loutou whala le se e ma le papalenga e. Maru foi, whalu polu I loutou te lanu manga. O te whaatu lou fo'i ma lae ma maota tau ave o Samoa. O wao ma lae ma maota e sila matangi e Samoa. Whai mai o na upu. E ve vele le whaingo fie, e ve vele fo'i le whainga tā. Tu lou. Ia o le paia lusunga tu muampule I tu au ma la tau a inga le tai ma le tō le fua. Ia e taine foi sua malvai whanua fō mai tūlangi sa ole ma sale au mua manua tele ma tō tō o le whalaula. Upu le whale manua, tūlou. Opa ia Samoa, opa ia utu lunga, opa ia utu malama, opa ia o atoa, opa ia o funga o atasi e pale le pelu o tala lei, leo waifo le nei aso I le tolus fultau sanga o le aso whanau, le tio. Tulou na lava. Ia, sui ala o whenga rengo pa ia le tua, sunga le tai nove vai la au. Fia mai alo fionga o komisina ma le whaltua, ma tua le asi, Scanlan. Ia, ma si foi le mamalu o le au wala ulia le nei aso. Ta alofa lava, fia mai ma tala mai au. Just the Samoan cultural greetings, welcome, friends of Samoa Capital Radio. This is a lovely day to celebrate 30th year of Samoa Capital Radio Tautua. Whamalo, whawtaile yaso. Pauleo samatu whamatalanga, tau lava o na tātou ave mua e matau sa. Ai te talo maia, wala watu ia tātou fia whaatasi le nei aso, a wale wha moe le tio. A fia maia matala mai au, sa moa poto le nei aso, whawhitai.
Whawhitai lau, tō wha au matangi. As in protocols of events like this, and you are coming into a city and Porirua people. We know Porirua people are very proud to call this region city. So the protocols follows, and it dictates that I welcome the Worship Mayor of Porirua to kindly welcome us to this space. Yeah, whaftai, Mrs. Anita Baker.
Thank you. Talo whalapa, kia ora. I'd like to acknowledge all you special guests here today. There is just too many of you to name, but I will say welcome to the Scanlons, as this may be your last visit out here. I'm incredibly honoured to welcome Samoan Capital Radio and all the guests to Porirua, to our fabulous city. We consider Porirua the Pacific capital of the region, and we're proud of that. So once again, welcome everybody, enjoy the celebration, and I'm looking forward to the food, the stories, and the music. So thank you. Whawhatai.
The claim to be the capital of Wellington rings true. So in our Pacific protocols that follows, and I'm now going to invite Lesunga ia nove vaila au, whawhengaina ia nove vaila au, e taitaina le tātou tae au i se tatalo. Whawhetai.
Ultimate moi fa talo fa I pa ia malu a fio mai ni tai au. Tu sa mal fa manatu ina o le tolu futu sanga o fonga lau mua. Pa ia fa malo, pa ia fa le anganu, pa ia fa le kalesia, malo le soi fo maua, malangi mama. Nunua tuia pa ia malu o le tātou mawhitanga, o leua mai a saunoa le a fionga I le teitei fono o le komiti whaafoe o le fofonga o le laumua. E anga tonu ai le tātou mawhitanga le nei tai au. Wa tō whiau le mawhitanga whai whiau Samoa Wellingtone. E vea mau lātou sui e teita ia le tāpua inga e tusa ma le nei whamoe moe. My apologies to non-Samoan speakers due to the time limitation for this part of the program. Our worship this morning will be conducted in Samoan. Kia tātou tāpua I le atua. O mātou whamoe moenga. Ma mātou fuafuanga ma mea la vasi ai le tangata. Nā lawa fio lava I te whaatau nuu ina. Poto mai I mātou le nei tai au e tusa ma le whamoe moe o le samina. O le tautua ma le au nanga le whonga o le laumua I nei tausanga e teli. O mātou te talo I lawa fio. Au e mailo o nganga. Te ina I mātou le nei whamoe moe. Ina iei o e whaimawi inga I lau fio no lolo e swafa Yesu. Amen. Whawhetai I le atu a le na tātou tu pua I na uana whafua Alleluia, te ina se upu mai le fionga le tua. Tusi mai le whianga inga whau o le vanglia ma teio lon ta upo e lua sifuru ma le valu. Au te whaita wina mai le whai upo e sifuru ma le valu e whangata mai le whai upo e lua sifuru. Maliwa na ai leo Yesu o whetala iatu ia te i lātou. Tuina mai a te au le pule umalava i le langi ma le langi. Le nei au tau atu e whai nuu umalava ma soo. Ma papatiso atu ia te i lātou le suafo le tamā ma le atalii ma le nganga pa ia. E au tau atu ia te i lātou ia tausi mea uma o whai atuai ia te utau. Whauta whai au te ia te utau ia so umalava. E o lava i le ngata anga o le lalangi. O le polo inga lea e sui ona so. Tusa malenga luenga whaau au. O le wha soa ina o le wha o le tanga le atua. O au mai le lalangi. E ala i le maliu malto e sui fua manu ma lo nalo Yesu Keriso. Lua uputa ue fia o iai se whamatalanga le nei tae au. E o mai se fe au mo i tātou. O le upu mua o le upu papatiso. Le nei e o tau atu e whainu umalava maso o ma papatiso atu i ai lātou lu sua fol te māma le atali i ma le nganga pa ia. O le upu papatiso i le ngangana e leni o le whaatofu ina o le tangata i le vai. Ina ia whamama ina. Inga leo le upu papatiso. Ai ua whaonga ina e tustalo mātai o le upu papatiso i le whai unga o lana tala e winga ia Yesu Keriso. E leo le whamoe moe o le whaatofu ina o le tangata i le vai. A le whaatofu ina o le tangata i le mafutanga mawhanawhana ma le atua na whaia le tangata le atua le tamā le atalii ma le nganga pa ia. Ma o le whamoe moe mua lea o le whaatonunga lea Yesu i ona soo. E na ia oe e awao ia maua e tangata e le talitonunga o le mafutanga mawhanawhana ma le atua le tamā le alo ma le nganga pa ia. O le la sanga lea o le avea o le toe whaafouina o le mafutanga a le tangata na whaia e le atua ma le atua. Tā ua lale fe au lea e pe ona au ina atua e Yesu ona so. Hae le upu tā ua lona lua e fia o Yesu whamatalanga i le nei tae au. O le upu ao atu. Ia ao i autou atu e whainu umalava maso. Papatiso le suafo le tamā ma le alo, ma le nganga pa ia ma i autou ao atu i a te lātou mea uma o whai atuai i a te autou. O le upu ao atu o se upu tā ua i te tonu o le tuspa ia mai lava le whenga inga tuai e o atu le whenga inga whau. Ia o ao le tamai tusa maonala. A wao ina matua i le to te ese ai. Ina wa uma fo na tu ina atu e mose ia tu la fono ma polo inga le tua e te pena ai. E Isara elu lo lato uru fale i te tonu o le nu fola ina. Ona wha pe atu leo mose ia e matua o a o so ai i lau whanau. O le upua o atu o le whai loa, o le wha malmalama, o le wha pupula, o le wha poto ina, o le wha tumu ina o le mawhau whau ma le loto o le tangata i awa onga le leima o onga tau safia. Leo whapertania o le information sharing to make aware, to improve knowledge. O whaupunga ia e whamatala ai le winga lo loto o le whaupunga lea o le ao atu. E le whaupunga fo lea whapertania whai mai knowledge is power. O le malamalama o le malosianga. O le finangalo o ngā tonu leo Yesu i lona whao ngā ina o le whaupunga lea o le ao atu. Mea umana ia whai mai ai ia i tātou. Ina ia whaalo loto ina ma wha malamalama ina ma wha lau tele ina le iloa ma le malamalama o le tangata i le atua ma lona finangalo o au mai e Yesu Keriso. Ia wha sao loto mai le tangata mai le malamalama ma le pōngi sā. O le ao atu o se vaenga tā ua leo ngā luenga tau whasalaunga i lunga o li tio ma wālesi whasalalau. Le whao ngā ile upu leo le broadcast. O le whalau tele, the broadness o le malamalama ma le awa onga. Tā ua lale whao punga leo, leo ua whasalalau ma leo whao ngā ia. Le whaupunga whasamo o le wālesi whasalalau. Ia le nāo talinga o tangata o lea e whiwa ai ai. A o talinga o isi tangata, le alai ona whao ngā. Ia le wālesi whasalalau e momoli ai le whiau i isi tangata. Le awa o ngā tonu lea, ma le ngā luenga tonu lea, o lo whao ngai nai, le whafonga lau mua, mai lawa i le amatanga. O le whao ngai ina, o le ngana Samoa, e mo moli aia o onga. Ma le iloa, ma le malmalama i tangata. E le ngata na o tangata i se lio, a o tangata i tō teli. Mai o latu maota, ma o latu lawa, ma o latu wainga. A lea foi lau wa au mai ma le technology fau lea, ma le technology fau lea o le Facebook, ma le YouTube, o le ngata la na le whaalongo, a ua mai moa foi le tangata i le mamoli na atu o awa onga o lo tau mo whaile, fonga lau mua e mamoli. Whatinonga leo le finangalo le atua ina iau tau awa atu. E na ia lātou i loa mea o whai atuai i a te utou. Tasi ala a inga o le matou nuu i vai ala e lātou le tio. Aola na kīle le tio le a inga lea. O na olo leo ta maiti o le matou nuu e nofo i le ala tele. Ma whalongo longo i le. I le tio. Stasi la Paul Kalame masani ona mato mai mau te whalongo longo ai. Paul Kalame voi lea ale tuaipi sa masani ona whai nā taimi e le toina voi lea fui ono whai waso. Paul Kalame voi lea o le whangongo. E ona mato mai lo lea no whanofo i lea la tele e ma whalongo longo i le itio lea. Te mana tua ai le tala voi leo ia soni ma le pau mamoi auro. Stasi o whangongo sa wha solo ele to ina leo fui ono wha i waso. Tā ua o le whe au o laua momoli o ma whai e ono whalongo longo le tangata maa o ina. O le au ai o le mawhitanga whai whe au i ngā luenga o le whafonga lau mua o te teletono se ngā luenga. Na ho whaatasi lava ma le āmataina mai o ngā luenga whaasalalau a le whafonga lau mua. Mai se lava le ngā luenga wha komiti whaafoe a le whafonga lau mua. E o mai lava i le aso nei o lo iai lava sui o le mawhitanga i le komiti whaafoe o le fonga lau mua. Ma wā vea i fo le mawhitanga whai whe au La tau te whaaonga ina le. Fofonga lau mua ma wā lesi whasala lau. Pa tino elfina ngalo leo Yesu. Yo tau o atu. Ena ia la tau whaia mea o whaia tuai a te utau. Wā le ngatau. Sauni ngā lotu i astaitas. Ai whapea fōle mō lio le awa e whatala noa ai. A fionga le atua. Ia e whapea fōi ma asia singa i tangata pa mai. Mai fōlinga mai o le tā ua leo le ngā luenga a le whonga lau mua. O le momoli o Paul Kalame tā le whiangai. Ina ia awa o ina ma maua le malama o tangata Samoa. Nene ngata o ngā whale soifua maloloini. O ngā whale atamai. O tala o mea o tupu mai leitu ma leitu o le larolangi. O ngā whale tū la whono. Ma o vaenga te tele ia o le whinangalo i Yesu. I lana whātonunga i lona au so. Ina ia momoli le malama. Taltonunga o Yesu ina ia maua le vaenga lea knowledge is power. A te lea o ina o tangata o te lea foi leo le malosianga. Ma o le mawhai foi leo na sao loto le tangata. E ala i lea o ina ia vea ma tangata le lei mo le atua malona finangalo. Vero leo e whai masui o le lau a whono le mawhitanga o whai whi au le sunga le te whono ma le whilau tusi. Na le te utupe. Sunga i pātele, sunga i sea, sunga i toi ina, whapea foi tai ma whaurulungo e kalesia ese. O lo mafuta il mafutanga whai whi au Samoa i tono Wellingtone. Ma tau te whamanuia tuai. I le komiti whaafoe a le whonga lau mua. Lau sunga i le li pule ma le au whainga ruenga a le whonga lau mua. I le whamanatu ina o lau tau tolu sifutau sanga. Ma tau te tālo pea ina ia vere whonga lau mua. Ma lai momoli eia o onga le lei. Ma o onga tau safia o wale whaafonga anga a le tātou atunu. E le ngata i tono Wellington nei. So se vaenga lo langi mo o iei whasala launga. Ia manuia lo tō aso whanau. Heo tātou tālo. Mātou la ngona lava le nganga whawhitai le nei tae au ina o mātou o mai whātapsi e sami. Le au nanga ua tausanga. Ma le au nanga ua e whaavano ina mo tangata Samoa i tonu o Wellington nei. Moli ai a o onga le lei ma o onga tāla whengai. A tia e ai le loa ma le malmalama. A tia e ai foi masoi fua maola o i mātou i tonu o le nei atunu a vea ma o mātou atunu ma o mātou a inga. Mātou whawhitai le ngā solonga mai o nei tau sanga i tele, ma le tauatia eina o mai lava i le taimi nei. Mātou whawhitai ono o esa a mata ina, ma le nganga sa iai ina ia a vea le fofongo lau mua, whai mawala e momoli ai lo finangalo. Mātou whawhitai ono e o lo ngā lulue, ma e o lo pūlea, e o mai le taimi nei. Mātou whawhitai o na wala o whesoa soani o lo mwhai o na maua. A tia e eile whi au ma ngā luenga ma le o nanga. Mātou whawhitai o na lo mātou o mai whaatasi le nei aso e sami ina le nei whamoe moe. Ma moli atu iou ao. E na ia iailo nganga e whaawau i pēa le ngā luenga mō le lumanai. Mātou whawhitai o no Yesu ke riso ma le whao le tanga. Le tāu langa o le tōngi ola mo le tangatanga sala. o e saunia mo i mātou mō lo malo e whawawau. Mātou whātou ese ma whamaulalo i o mātou se mā ngasala. Mea wale atu o tōno o mātou whaia. Mea fwoi wale au i ailo mātou ngā whatia ono lo mātou walea ma lo mātou le malamalama. Mātou atu lava i ate oilo mātou o tua. E te whamangalo i mātou, ma e toi whausia, ma toi a fua se tae au whau i o mātou ola. Ina e o mātou lola ua fio ma lau whinangalo. Mātou te tālo mo nei whamai moe, ina ia wai lo wanganga. Wha oli ma wha fia ina i mātou, i ngā whatia o le nei whi au ma le nei ngā luenga, ma ia wha au o pēr mō le lumanai. Mātou te tālo whamanuia le pūlenga o le whonga lau mua. Mātou te tālo whamanuia le au whainga luenga. Mātou te tālo whamanuia le nei au fia. Ia vea le whamai moe le so, e whaimavi inga ia te oe. O au mātou te tālo ma wala au. E ala i lolo wa suafa Jesu le li i mal whaolo, le wao i mātou te tālo. Lo mātou ta mai o i le langi. Ia pa ia lo suafa, ia o mai lo malo, ia whaia lo whina ngalo i lo langi, pe i ona whaia i le langi. Ia e fōai mai a te mātou le aso nei, ia mātou mea ai te tau ma le aso. Ia e whamangalo i a te mātou, ia mātou ngasala. Pe o i mātou fōi ona o mātou whamangalo i nātu, i e wānga leanga mai a te mātou. Aua foi te ina i mātou i whaososonga. A e la vea i ai mātou ai le leanga. A wae o le malo malimana. A toa malevi inga e whawawaulau. Amen.
Ka whingainga no ve vai la au ia mo talo sanga ma upu whamanuia a wale au nanga le si fonga o le laumua ia la wala au ina ia le fionga tai fono to faia au matang tu ma fono ken a kui e sa noa e faise whamatalanga oto o le ngā luenga ale ofisa nei ia fe mai la fionga.
Ia, tu e whātalo whātu le nei tū lao le aso whātu lo tu fo le malu. Whātai loa tātou momoli lao i whonga awa. Awele tātou whātai le tuo tātou wheloa i luma no o leo tuo no. Ia, o le whaenga nei o le sauninga. Ia, langa wā o le teitei whono, o le teitei whono pito la i titia lea ma le tala whāsolo pito le tātou le tio. Ia o lela au tau mawhai e whamatala atu sina tala o tōto. I mea au te iloa ea uia i tu tonu o leiti o ma le sao whainga o le tātou komiti. Ia e o te langona se whaperitani atu. Se tau wao atu nei nanu e sa o au. E reanga o le o tangata i e whatupeina le tātou ngaluenga. E le mamalamba le wha Samoa. So lela atau mwhai atu le whaperitania ia aluatu fui wale ato toa veape manauna tātou ngā lue whaatasi. So this part of the ceremony, I'm the chairman, as I said in Samoan, the youngest chairman ever, and I'm tasked today, this time, to give a reflection on my role as a chairman and what the board does. So I only have two things to say. The first one, I'll talk about the committee and my reflection, personal reflection on the work of the radio. And in the second part, I will introduce Afamasanga, the CEO, and he will do more of that part. So, and I wanted to say this in English because the main funder of this radio is the New Zealand On Air. And I'm very happy that New Zealand On Air CEO is here today because not many radios celebrations, you'll have a CEO, a very palangi looking guy to go and enjoy. So today, if you put your hands together and welcome Cameron Howland. Can you put your hand up or stand up, please, Cameron? So Cameron is, well, it's just a coincidence that just last week, the funding from NZ on air has increased by $50,000. So another big hand for Cameron. So I won't tell you the total, but it's not enough. The challenge for you, Cameron, is to every year maybe increase 100,000 increase, and then you keep coming to these functions. While I'm at it, I still also want to acknowledge the second best funder for this organization, the radio, is Awhionga Tangaloa, Dr. Junior Ulu, is the director of DHB Pacifica in Wellington. So could you put your hand up and thank you very much. The radio has got a very good partnership with the health, and you've witnessed that and observed that during the COVID. We had a lot of work, and the radio came to the party, deliver, broadcast, and with the help and funding from Tangaloa's department, it made it possible. So thank you very much. You heard me, it's $50,000. The challenge is more than that, please, for next year. Also, I want to acknowledge the presence of Fata Whanene. He is the Superintendent, New Zealand Police for the Pacific section or ethnic. Fata Willie Whanene, I think he's one of the longest serving, about 40 years service in the police, and he's here today, and his department funds the radio program that Soa Petelo does on the radio. So could you put your hand up, and a big hand for Whanene. He's from Auckland, but we don't worry about that. He's living in Wellington now and doing that job. So thank you very much, and again, continue to support that program, because Soa Petelo program is one of the well listened and the most listened to program in the Samoa Capital Radio, and everybody listens and ring up, although they know the answer, but they still ring the police. Also, just want to acknowledge the Milligan Research Institute here today. Thank you very much. Your boss, Professor Legros, couldn't be here today, but your department is here. We have our friend as well, Duffy, who's here. And again, your work during the COVID, we have to acknowledge that you've done a lot of work, and you're leading the advice to the Prime Minister about the epidemic and all that stuff. So thank you very much for your work. And the vehicle for that was Samoa Capital Radio. And there were a lot of listeners, and we still want to acknowledge you today and ask you to continue that work. So a big hand for Malakam. Also the CEO of Pacific Health, Heart Valley Pacific Health, Pati Nanai Pati Moa'au and his team. Again, thank you very much for the partnership with Samoa Capital Radio. You did a lot of work. We did a lot of work together during the COVID. You know, the government was very slow giving out those, you know, the packages for the Pacific people. But they finally saw the light, give it to the Pacific people to deliver it. And you did well, and worked together with Samoa Capital Radio to achieve that purpose. So a big hand for Heart Valley Pacific Health. All right, so as I said, I've been involved with the radio for a long time. Before becoming the chairperson, I was doing my program on the radio, the law, talking about the law and all that stuff as my job at the moment as a lawyer. So if you need some free advice, come and see me after. I'll give you my card. I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm now the chairperson. I just want to introduce our committee, because what the board does is to acknowledge and support what Awhamasanga and the radio does. So they do all the work. We just come and meet every month and support the programs and acknowledge and see where we're heading. So it's a governance role, but we like doing that. So today I just want to acknowledge part of the committee and our board. First, o le whaletua malolo man malo Fereni Ete. A big hand for Fereni Ete. Fereni is on the board, and I think Fereni was in the beginning, since this radio started, right from the beginning, with a committee member, a program deliverer. She was there. She's still here today. About 82, 81 years old, doing really well. She's still working for the radio, delivering programs for women in the Samoan community. So thank you very much, Fereni Whawhtei tele le tautua mo Samoa, and mai se tiu whongolau mua. Another big hand for Fereni. Other members of the committee, always on the committee, is the chairperson of the Whaiwhiau committee. So the whono Whaiwhiau, the chairperson, is a member of the committee. So that person is not here today. Reverend Malaki Moiava, unfortunately, couldn't be here with us because he's unwell, but he is a member of the committee from the Whaiwhiau whono. So we wish him luck and all a speedy recovery. Other members of the committee is Dr. Ali Tassi Tavila. Ali Tassi is at the back, still working at the back. A big hand for Ali Tassi. Stand up. Yeah, she's at the back of the door. The other member of our committee board is our secretary, Fionga Le Mamea Afile Sewala. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here with us today. He's traveling to Australia for family reasons. So that's the committee, and that's what we do. So we meet, rubber stamp what the CEO does, because we don't know much about radio, and that's what we do. And Afa Masanga is doing a fine job with his team. Now, before I introduce Masanga, my reflection on radio. So I remember, I'll tell you a story, because 1989, so before 30 years, this radio was working somewhere with the Upoko o Te Ika radio. Somewhere in town, I think it was, I remember it was at Lambton Quay, there was an office up there, they broadcasted from there. These are the Samoan leaders that we must acknowledge. 30 or 30 plus years, 32 years ago, these Matai of Samoa, leaders of Samoa, trying to put together a radio. And I remember 1989, that was my first year teaching at Porua College. And I had a phone call, because that year, the Porua College decided to have a Samoan language week. And we did that. That was the first year we did it, and we did a Samoan flag raising to recognize the Independence Day. So that's what we did 1989. I had a phone call from Tauili Atamalifa. He wanted to interview me on this radio, before it was called Samoan Capital Radio, to talk about the Samoan Language Week. Tauili Atamalifa lived just down the road here, Champion Street. His other brother, Tupuola Sione Malifa, Tuloa Paiainga, also lived around here at Pororoa at the time. They were all helping out this radio at the time. I went in, did the radio program, interview me and talk about the Samoan, promoting Samoan language. And that's what we did with Ata Malifa, Tauilili. And that's when I'm reflecting, because more than 30 years, these leaders of Samoa tried to put this effort together to do the radio. So that's the start, and now we are here to celebrate the 30th. And now we're here and formalizing a different staff, different board, but we still remain the same, and the focus is Samoan language. Samoan language, tautua nā, lauanga nuu, male tātou ngana, ale se tātou ngana, I wale fui se tātou nuu. So that's my brief reflection, and why I'm saying that, because all those people that lived in Pororoa were helping the radio. And now the radio has all come back, and now it's got its headquarters in Porirua. So it's a milestone, and it's an acknowledgement of where our people are and the drive that all the Samoan leaders have to share together and drive our anganu'u to maintain our language. So whaftaitele I te mau tuana I atu. Thank you to all the leaders, those people that guided this radio, and now 30 years later we're here celebrating. So that's my sharing and my reflection. Now, I want to introduce our CEO. Now, Te Alu Awhamasanga has got a title, Awhamasanga, and his whaalupenga is Matua Usuali'i. So, Matua Usuali'i is an honorific statement in the South Whainga Matai, in the Matai Council, when you speak. That's the whaalupenga you give to Awhamasanga, and that's the Matai title. So I thought Matua Usuali'i, I'll try and explain. Matua in Samoa is a parent, a leader. That's what Matua is. Usuali'i is a brotherhood. And Usuali'i in this context is chiefly brotherhood and their relationship in the council and the village. Awhamasanga is a Matua Usuali'i, that's his whaalupenga. And why I'm saying that is because to lo Walsuafa Awhamasanga is a connector of people. He identifies people with talent, and then he nurtures those talents and bring those talents to use on the radio, whether it's a program, or where it's a reflection or advertising Samoan companies to promote those companies and help our people. That's what Awhamasanga does, and he does it really well. I look at his staff. I'm very pleased to announce that the staff starts from scratch, and we've been witnessing that. And this is what the Matua Usuali'i is doing, is nurturing those relationships and identifying talents and make use of it. And he's done really well doing that. So last Awhamasanga was appointed more than 10 years ago was hunted by the one only first chairman of, or one of our chairmen in the time, in Whailotu, Reverend Setu Masina. So Setu Masina approached Awhamasanga to come and do this job, and he's here since then. So I'm very proud to bring to you Awhamasanga, and you will reflect on all the years and the work that he does for the Samoan Capital Radio. So without further ado, I call upon Awhamasanga Te Ao Moresi to address this. Whawhtei lava.
I think we're doing bilingual this morning. There's a bit of Samoan, a bit of English. So I think we'll have a little break. I'll show a little video. And in this video, there's 2 minutes of exercise. And when you come to that, feel free to get up and exercise. All right? So guys, if we're ready, play that video, please. It's the first 20 years of Samoa Capital Radio. Then I'll talk about the last 10 years. I'm supposed to flick my finger and everything happens, but it's not working. They'll actually try to work like that. We'll show this video, and then there'll be some still photos, and I want to acknowledge some of the people in this room. They were students when I first started. Some of them are now managers in the jobs in government. To acknowledge them, and then I'll give you some stats. Thank you. Full screen.
talo. E moni ma whamaoni lava upu mai lau fiong pa ia le aliye. O loa lofa e tili siete mai whamaoni lava lea. Mai ao lao na mātou i atu i ate oilo mātou o mai. O wau o malei po mai whanunga lei lau whanau le nei tai au kou. I lea lofa mātalasi. Ma le leo leonga while mō mai lau fio.
It's your own tennis, we also feel.
Tan flava o tal foma le siu fonga le la mua mo le so sfuntolo te sema lua fe sfuntolo. O ana nafi ma le solo o whaatauno o ina i sauninga whaamitoa i tutono New Zealand e mana toai Nelson Mandela le Sabia ma Presidente o Afrika i saute. O le awa uri ana nafi safa i sauninga lotu i le GSB Bank Arena Wellington.
O a me o te tupu Samoa ma New Zealand nei o le a tama whai le Samoa Times se va i ili o walo si
E pipi lava patau patu whakonga o tātou i trimu. I le dea skoere o tātou mahutai wāna whai o le nei tutua, e us mea whakonga i a tātou tala. O le tario te mai tai whamasino le pionga matatua tanga loa.
E isi pule a oa no whetau e lana comment i le mai sori tia nei. O ia whaasa ina tamai tio lana o a peisa o a patetai. Pasal saya sini tu itu cara lupa Christmas. Patut apa? Cara macam awak. Orang cara lupa Christmas. Pero orang semua buat Desember.
Tapi orang lupa ya, mana lupa ya, mana lupa marki mas. Itu Christmas.
Ua fio mai le li o na tū lea ma wala au, pei o na rua i whai, Samuel. O na tali atu lea o Samuel, whetalai mai au.
Se tasi te ni titi, o waiata Baribo, ma se manui malemo I Parramatta. Wa amata o te whea e se atu ona o le malo rosi o le au, ona o sofo ia le tūlanga e le te tau o le tae ia.
Ia la saunoanga o le lumanai o mātou whanau. Mātou te fia I loa po ani a wanoa whaalea o onga ai mese o le soifua maroloina po o le physical education. O ani vaenga
o le mea momoa langa o le soifua o le tanga. O le awhainga o le soifua o le tūlanga arwa. Pea o whea langa o lao ngā ruenga ia lea wa sau ua vai atu e pito e ona hawhi whaina i soifua, o le ngā lunga i nei mōmua wa a ba e.
Mama i o mātou lunga o malawa, lunga o lau whanau le lalolani. E alofa tu noa tele o lau fio le atua lo mātou tuma. E alofa silisili ese o Yesu Kiristo lo mātou wali i mapaolo. Ma le mawhutanga ma le nganga pa ia nei. Se ia o e whawawau e whawawau lava. Amene. Amene.
E mita na ia te o se tasi o missionary. Na o mau i si useni. O ia fo i lea, na avea matusiata whaafanua, a le malo o Peretania, talo mai le mai tausama, e afe balu se lau li mawha.
Paenga ia e lua ia tong vai whamanatu atu ia whapopo nisi paenga ia paenga tā ua le immigration po te pai ia malanga mai ngā tuku no visa pai malanga mai fui tunu nisi nei mau mau wai ia no whamanatu pui le nisi paenga whatau mo whale ni tūlanga whapena ia manisi pui paenga ke o na fia whamanatu atu ia wale mo kusira pia ia au le paenga tā ua le fi whamanatu atu
Tua tonu lava i ngā ruenga whaatala lili. E tau ala mai i le ukuka ma tau mafa. O na ia telefone i loa lea i lana whaiwhea. Na whaava noa mai i le whaiwhea. O le au whai ngā ruenga le au roto. O la tau.
E whapena. O tula langa e tui soto te whanua. Ona le whaonga ia tonstinga whonga i mua waira a. Ia a umanga e si tula pe tau whai tula i am toi tuire toto. E si aki e whonga e po au mako.
E whapena hoi e tohane a Linga, e Whara, Tini, e o Saumani, e Walato Umalama Panoa. Ia, so e whamanatu whamani atu la whanau i toa a Jamie.
E nisi pale teli. Ia pia o nasa amata mai ele tato whasaloma. O le masina la yungu i tau sama lava lea. Tasi i bebe lua. Sa whaisi sa ununga.
Pese lona lima le wa tūlanga mai ei le sunga ia tau langa tanga loa.
Hau whiwhi hoi whai hoa. Ia o whaatasi mimani o tato ngāre whare.
O eke mahosi po eke mahosi ia e ia mea o kaiti po. Sa kama titi tua tau tala ni kutu isi masi tau. A tau ar tau tala pea o ili aso mo huo o te semba. Te mina ni tato ia.
Iyo, o te loe. O te loe whai aonga le, mana whai aonga le whaongaki masi. E tō kilisi masi. Talo patata walau, talo patata walau, talo patata walau, ya talo patata walau, talo patata walau, talo patata walau, talo patata walau, talo patata walau.
Some of you on that video is here in this room today. So congratulations, you've journeyed with us up to this point. But sadly, some of them have passed on. And we'll meet them in heaven someday in the future. O le si vaenga le la o e la o whamtalanga e ina i ata i o still photos. Mautala noa atu inisi o tangata nei, o lo i tono o tātou mauta nei, o isi wale o to iei tonu New Zealand. I la tofo I Malanga journey, taipea on Malanga si ufongo la mua. When you ready, guys? Yeah, thank you. On the 20th of May 1992, is when Samoa Capital Radio was constituted or registered in the company's office. And I know when I was doing research on this that New Zealand On Air was registered in 1989. So they're 33 years, 3 years older than us. So we nearly grew up together, so we still partner now 30 years on. That's giving you an insight in the tools or the type of broadcasting gear we had then. That's the old Ross Trevor house. Asanya nisi oto. Ngau sao chôn vì lì chiếu mà. Vậy cái này chôn ở studio ở Ross Trevor house. Chắc là liệu chẳng hạn trả lì chiếu. So Tolo Pelua is passed on. Soon after I got there, I realized you saw the early console panel. It wasn't working properly, so I went to New Zealand Air and pleaded with them to give me some money so we can buy a new console panel, and that's it. So that's proof that we did spend the money on. That's why I put the video on. Some of the people were interviewed. When Norman Vau was the minister, I said to her, I want you to bring all the Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, all the Cabinet Ministers. I want to interview them in Samoa Capital Radio. And then they rang and said, oh, you need to come to the PM's office. I said, no, I want her to come to where Samoa Capital Radio is. And she did. And a week before she came, they sent a protection squad. And they sussed the place out, make sure everything is safe. And on the day when she arrived, I was rung, said, can you please come downstairs and meet her? And she was escorted by two motorcycles. And I came down and she came out, and then there was Glenda Hughes. Some of you know Glenda Hughes. She came down and said, Sanga, what's this happening? I said, I'm interviewing her here. And how long is she here for? I said, half an hour. She said, really? I don't think she comes to things like this. I said, this is Samoa Capital Radio. So she was there. Now, sadly, the lady in that photo, she's passed on. But she used to work with Roman Vau Winnie Laban. And Roman Vau, unfortunately, she's actually monitoring the elections in Papua New Guinea. That's why she's not here. She sends her apologies. Dr. Michael Cullen, we interviewed, that's a Minister of Finance. That's the Reverend who conducted the service this morning. When I left the Ministry of Education, the CEO at the time, Howard Fancy, said to me, why are you leaving us? Do you realize if the minister finds out, they say, how did you release your most senior Pacific Island servant? I said, don't worry, I'll take you with me. I'll put education programs on air. And Nova and I worked together to translate the programs initially. And we're still working together. Reverend Taunola, he was one of chair of the Mautanga Whaiwhiau. You heard our chair mention that. We've got a very strong relationship with fellowship, the Church Ministers Fellowship. Ian McKinnon, one of the mayor of Wellington, so we used to interview. Roman Vau Winnie Laban. Prendergast, the mayor of Wellington. How's that? Very young Nick Lickett, he was a mayor of Purua. I've actually interviewed 4 mayors of Purua City Council and Samoa Capital Radio. Jenny Brash, Nick Lickett, Mike Tanner, and now Anita Baker. One of our doctors, Dr. Mayai, say Missy Mayai. That's the lady in the middle, some of you know, Debbie Ryan. She's actually very prominent in the health sector. Tangaloa, Taimi Whangaloa is with us this morning. Malo, Tangaloa. While we're there, with our relationship with the health sector, I've actually worked with 4 directors. It was Lee Pierce to start off with, and then we have Tangaloa, Taimi Whangaloa, and then we have Tofa, Swafole who was emceeing us today, and then of course Dr. Junior Ulu here, Afionga Tangaloa. So we worked, Samoa Capital Radio's worked with all the leaders here. Now, this dad and the daughter there on the side here. When I interviewed the Mapsua this day, and he brought the daughter, and she was, she became an economist. And then 2 years later, I think, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I invited her, I interviewed her on Samoa Capital Radio. She was then, let me find out what she was actually doing at the time. She was the manager of strategic initiatives at the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. And Natalia, could you stand up, please? Thank you. Natalia is now Director of Strategy, Policy and Design at the Land Information New Zealand. So why I invited today Natalia, well, I need somebody like you to help Samoa Capital Radio go the next 20 years. So that's now that's our Mani and Langi. Langi is now a solicitor at the Oranga Tamariki. And she was also doing a radio program for the youth. And what we did was try and bring the young ones in and try and help them along their journey. And they all ended up doing very well. One of them, who's not in the photo, she's now working in the New Zealand High Commissioner in Samoa. And that's very good. That's Ella Risati, by the way. Now, there's a group of youth that were interviewed by Maria and Anna, and they produced an app to learn how to pronunciate our Samoan words. And you can see the change in where education is now these days. Mangutia is with us. That's a team from Victoria University, Tapu. Community members, or people with RSE in Samoa, the man in the middle, he's the one that actually started that off, bringing people here for RSE. This lady, Sinatala, you saw that in the video early on, she started the program, Pispisenga mo Tangata Mats Tour, entertaining our elderly, seniors. That's a community event we held here. And we're here today again. So we're not having another community, but that's when we brought people together. Funny thing, Nick Lecker, when he was the mayor of Porua, said, can you host a community meeting for me? I said, I will do it, provided it's all in Samoan. So he said, okay. So we came here, and then the team from Porua City Council was sitting on this side, and I was facilitating. And then everything was done in Samoan, and then they said, what are they saying? And I said, that's exactly what they've been asking all these years when you present things in the English language. So that's how you educate people. You say, you do something and say, so what is happening? That's what it looks like when Christmas time in our place, the old place. And this is our new studio now. Different look, different equipment. We're now working on 4 different platforms. Got an app, 106.1 FM, we got Facebook, and we got YouTube. And who knows what's coming ahead. All right, so just a bit of timelines and stats. 1991, you heard Tunafona mention there was some broadcasts early on. So there was some frequency that they started off. 1992 in May, you saw that's when we got registered. Started with 2,500 hours, to increased to 35. staffed by mainly volunteers. That's the only way a Pacific Island radio station can survive, is having so many volunteers. Commence broadcast 783 AM frequency, and oh yeah, I mentioned that earlier. That's when 2002. I only came here for 2 years. I said to I'll come and do it for 2 years. I'll go back to government, and then after 2 years, he said to me, "If you leave now, none of us know what you want to do." So I stayed on for another 5 years, and I'm still here. I can't get out of the place. And in 2002 and 3, increased the hours from 35 to 38. And in 2004, we had our website. We actually had our website before Access Radio or the PMN had theirs, or even the Radio Samoa in Auckland. And in 2007, there was that RFP, and then I went up to Radio Samoa. I got permission of the board, and we worked together with the 531PI, put the proposal together so that would secure the frequencies for a Pacific-led radio station. And that's what happened. That's the history. And now we got National Pacific Radio Trust. They trade under the name PMN, Pacific Media Network, and they operate the 531PI and UFM. March, we left Ross Trevor House. The landlord keep putting up the rates. And one day I said to him, "Hey, we're not your cash cow. We're going to walk out of here." And he thought, "It'll probably take at least 6 months to organize a frequency or a studio. But we could easily go to Access Radio and broadcast from there." So we walked away and we came to Purua. And I think this is where we're going to buy our permanent home. So July 1st, that's when we first commenced broadcasting together with 106.1 FM and the Facebook. For a long while, we were trying to work out whether it was right for us to go on Facebook, given all the negative comments and the nasty way they did. And it took us a while to work out exactly what we wanted to do before we went into that. But I must say that it hasn't been a bad experience to date. We told everybody we broadcast with respect, and we expect them to treat us the same. And it's been working well for us. So April live stream general elections from Samoa, which is the first one. And that's another big achievement for us. It's now like seamless. When we switch to Samoa or Samoa switching to us here, we can easily do that. And August added Samoa Capital Radio YouTube channel, and that some of people are now watching us on that. Now, our vision, to be the leader in Samoa broadcasting in New Zealand, I believe we are doing that. Mission, entertain, you heard the Reverend, educate, inform, forewarn, and culturally and spiritually grow Samoans through through the use of the language. Key goals, to have our own frequency, we've been talking about this for so long. Secondly, now to buy a permanent home here in Purua. And last month, and thank you for most of you here, your help out was at Kickstarter fundraising. I don't want to be around for the next 30 years before we can buy a place. The cost of properties now is quite high. So you need to think creatively and tell me how we can achieve that within 3 years. This is where I think Samoa Capital Radio should be leading. We started off like just informing the community, raising awareness, been doing a bit of education. We can engage on air, but I tell you what, people now have a lot of choices. There's a lot of social media outlets, so you can compete with a lot of these things. So you've got to think, how can we reach our youth and the seniors? And we started a band. My friend Sua, who's a policeman here, is very good at playing guitar. So he and I sat down one day and said, "Hey, if you want to stimulate our minds, because we're getting older, let's do something different." So we started playing guitar, and now we learned how to play some music. And we will be doing engagement with the community, be 2 concerts in the Hutt Valley next summer, 2 in Wellington, 2 here in Purua. And we will bring some of you people who are here now, seniors and the youth. Having the youth there, they can actually help the seniors bridge that digital divide. so they can help them put our smartphone app on their phones and teach them how to listen to us or engage with us through the use of technology. And then the second thing you see there, a few years back I asked our board, have an arm of the radio station to look after sports and recreation for our Pacific community. And then this opportunity arose. Leasi Pali, who's the High Commissioner for Samoa, he actually started this off. And then he said to me, can you do something with this? So we're going to partner with Nanai, Heart Valley Pacific Health Service, and we will do that. I think it's another way to enhance the lives of our community here, Pacific community. So I think some of this already been said by our chair, but there's a lot of you people I want to thank you for that journey. When I came on the radio station, I thought, I need to find the right talents that we can take with us. People who can make the radio grow. And some of them, I've mentioned them here. It's already mentioned. Acknowledgement. Board, of course. I must thank the board. They trust me and they have faith in me. If you have a board that gets in your way, you can never achieve anything. But you have a board to actually see the vision and help you along with that, realize that vision. You make things a lot easier. So thank you, board. I've had very good board today. Firini Ete, she's a long-serving. I think it was Alfred Hankin at the start, first chair, and then Firini, Setu Masina, Reverend Setu Masina was passed, and then Firini Ete, and now Tun Mafono. Now, stability of the board is very important for an organization. We've only had 30 years, 4 chairpersons. Some organizations, they have more chair people than number of years. So thank you that, and then all our members, especially our listeners, you people who are here, and the clients and the people help us along our journey. I'd like to thank you very much. I also like to thank my staff. They've been working really hard to get us to where we are. Over and above the hours they contracted to do, underpaid, overworked, and I can't do much about it. So I am trying to find ways to find money so I can pay them a living wage. And then lastly, I'd like to thank my wife, my family. Most of the time I go home and I sit there and look at my laptop and talk to my computer, not much time with them. But thank you, you can now see the fruit of your perseverance. Got us 30 years to where I am, and I'm still alive. Thank you very much. Now, usually after a Maori speech, there's a waiata. But we actually learn a song to capture 30 years of history of Samoa Capital Radio. And would like to perform that song for you after the sharing. We've created this opportunity for some of our clients, key clients, to come and give a reflection of their relationship with Samoa Capital Radio over the years. Whaptai lava.
This part of the program is about those who have kindly gave us money, thank you. Those who have kindly told us off because of what we didn't do. E ai se teime o te nia mai ai mātou I lunga o le leitio e to telefo I o tātou mātua. Ia o lea o onga fo na ia I mātou. So I'm going to ask those who have been clients and partners to the Siufonga o le Laumua to just share 2-3 minutes Samoan or Palangi time, not Samoan 5 minutes, to share your reflection and how you have found working and supporting the work of Samoa Capital Radio. And I'm going to kindly invite the CEO of the New Zealand On Air, Cameron Harlan, to say a few words.
Talofa malo le soifuia manwea. Whaatalofa atu iloi susunga awhamasanga ma Samoa Capital Radio. Sorry for the Palangi version of my greeting. I want to acknowledge Your Worship, Reverend Ken, the board, clients and guests, also obviously Awhamasanga, my Palangi staff member Glenn, and a very, very special staff member who really looks after the relationship with Samoa Capital Radio, Nicole at the front there. So thank you for giving me a very brief moment. As has already been said, we have funded Samoa Capital Radio since 1992, and we've only been around since 1989. So beautifully put, we have sort of grown up together. And I think about the changes that we've all faced over those times. In 1982, I was just reflecting, was working at a video store called Vacation Video across the road in the Porirua township as a part-time job, and of course there's not a lot of video shops around nowadays. So I guess if you reflect on 30 years, we've seen a lot of change. We've supported Samoa Capital Radio throughout the years because they are a mea sina to the Samoan community. Over the years, we've seen Samoa Capital Radio go from strength to strength with their programs that inform and entertain the community they serve. And no more so than in the last couple of years, I think the very, very fine work that has been done in informing and helping the community through the COVID pandemic, which I'm sure we'll hear a little bit more of later. They're always the first to get information from Samoa to the community here in Wellington. We've helped support them with the big move out here to Porirua. And I was honoured to be asked to the Christmas party that we saw the photos of earlier last year. It's a wonderful facility, a real credit to you and the team. And we recognise your ability to reach your audience and if I think back in time to the NZ On Air Innovation Fund, the Sa'ili Malo. Fast forward to today. Samoa Capital Radio have created a huge online offering with the new social media platforms, as has already been discussed. And I understand as many as 100,000 people engage with their content, which is incredible. Being able to adapt to the changing media landscape is a challenge, but one you've embraced so well. All the best. I look forward to attending this birthday party in 30 more years. Obviously acknowledging there is no free lunch here, Ken. But very, very, very honoured to have been asked to speak and to be here, and really delighted with all that you do. So congratulations for Awhitai Lava. Thank you.
So our next guest to share is our Worship the Mayor of Porirua, Anita Paika Whawhitai.
Thank you. Usually I'm sitting with Izzy and we're going through the list of things that's happening in the city and things for people to complain about, like dumping of rubbish and recycling. So, talofa lava and welcome everyone. And I'm honoured to be here with my Deputy Mayor Izzy Ford. Unfortunately, our CEO is missing today. We've got some water issues in the city. So we're surrounded by media in our day-to-day lives, newspapers, television, and of course social media, one of my pet hates. But one medium that is going strong and one of the most proven effective ways to inform and entertain is radio. People are tuning into their news on the radio stations more than ever before. I know I certainly listen to the radio rather than turning on the TV. I was really incredibly happy to welcome Samoa Capital Radio into its new premises when you relocated from Wellington to Porirua in 2020. Izzy and I really enjoy going in to chat with Alpha Masanga and the team once a month. We'd quite often like to go more, often with the topics of the day. But you have a loyal following here in Porirua and a testament to your longevity. We certainly enjoy you being based so close to us. When we had to travel into Wellington and find a car park, I have to say, it was a bit of a pain, so we were very excited when you moved here. And we all know Porirua is a great place to live, work, play and raise a family and run a business. So for people living here and walking down to work, I think some of you are getting quite fit and enjoying just what we have as a city. We're very diverse. Our spirit and vibrancy in our communities make us an attractive place in the region, and it's places for opportunity. We obviously are the largest Pacific in the group in the region. We have 22% of our residents are from the Pacific communities, where there's only 21% Māori. So I consider us to be a very big Pacific ceremony area. We love our Pacific flag raising events, and we value the diversity and vibrancy that the people bring to Porirua. Samoan Capital Radio has seen proof of the latter. You're a leader for broadcasting in the Samoan language, informing and educating people about what really matters. Over COVID, you stood out as one of our leaders. You worked through all the languages of the Pacific, kept everyone up to date on the virus, had some amazing guests from the Milligan Institute, to name a few, and obviously all our doctors and medical teams. And you certainly earned the COVID Civic Award that we gave you last week. Having been around since 1992, you know what it means to make a success out of a business, even during these challenging times, and your role is vital in continuing to appraise the community of key issues in our local area, our regional and national levels, and even going obviously live from Samoa. I hope you broadcast and ask questions for another 30 years. You have built and maintained a loyal listenership, and may that long continue. I congratulate everyone here associated with Samoan Capital Radio on your milestone, and I wish you the very best for the future, and I look forward to continuing coming to the station. So thank you.
Our Director of Hutt Valley and Capital Coast DHBs, yeah, la was young Tangaloa Dr. Junior Ulu, but Sumaya.
Le sauninga mo le nei avanoa tāua. Ia mo moana o talva ia whei mo o whaataloa atu pa ia lasilasi wa whio mai. Tuloa o pono o Samoa pa ia tupu mai. Tuloa o whare polu, tuloa o auna le atu o te whaatalo whatu i le swafaman malo i Sukeriso. I just want to talk about two areas within a personal reflection and then also a professional reflection. When I was sitting here thinking about coming today, I reflected in '92 I was a first year student at Victoria University, and Ngalman Mana was our lecturer for Samoan language, 101 and 102. And in 102 we received an assignment, and the assignment was to write a short story with a theme and also a moral area that you could cover, and then record that, and it would be played on the Samoa Capital Radio. This is the second half of my first year. And being the really well-organised student that I am and was, I wrote it the hour before it was broadcasted, and then we recorded it. And so I wrote the story because I was stressing, and I wrote the story about a young Samoan boy who grew up in Auckland and lived in a really strict home, came to university, and then discovered nightclubbing. And then his mother found out about it and gave him a hiding. So the story was about me. And then I recorded this story, handed it in, and I thought, it's all finished. And then I get a phone call from my mother. And this is how things travel really fast with radio, but then there's the coconut wireless that travels even further. So she heard the story in Auckland, and I don't know if it was prophetic, but I did end up getting another hiding. One in the story and one in real life. So the connection with this Samoa Capital Radio has been long-standing for me, but also professionally it's been what I needed last year. And I want to acknowledge Taima, the newly Dr. Taima Whangaloa, and also Tofa Sofule Gush, and the work that they set up when I came on in my role as in the DHB, who's soon to be Health New Zealand on the 1st of July. But one of the things that we had to do was vaccinate the country, and that was a real strong push from the government, and we had to do this in a way that we had to stagger it because there weren't enough vaccinations in New Zealand at the time, so we had to start with the workers and the border workers, all of our staff at the hospitals, and then we got to the Pacific. And when we got to the Pacific, we started with the elderly, with our old people. And what we wanted to try and do was get the story out there. And Samoa Capital Radio became a real big part of that story and for us to reach the community. So we released the funding and we had a real high trust model. And Afamasanga and his team pulled everyone together, got the story out there, and then our stats for Wellington were climbing really fast. And it was because we were using this radio station, small little radio station, and I'm sitting here thinking, if I'm the second biggest funder, I know how much I'm giving you, so you probably need a bit more. But what we were able to do was just release the funding, and we just saw the numbers spiking, and the numbers kept spiking and spiking and spiking, and so we could just release the money to Samoa Capital Radio. They're doing a really good job. And then the social media element came through as well. So I just want to congratulate you for the work that you did in protecting our community in the last year and a half since I've been in the role, but also the work that you've done for the last 30 years in making sure that our people have been heard, that education, health, all of the different areas, the police has had a platform because of Samoa Capital Radio, and I wish you all the best. And if I have more money, I will give you more money. I can't top the 50K that Cameron's doing, but I'll try and find some. But thank you, 50.
What I didn't say earlier was that for every minute you stand on a podium, it costs you 10,000. So funders, be aware of that. Yeah, invite Lauvitalainga Fata Willie Fanene, Superintendent New Zealand Police, who is with us today.
Ia, talofa lava, ma role soifua, e mua no whatu role pa ia sorry, my teeth are almost falling out. Whaka whalo mauka, tūlau na lava. O te whawhatai le tua le nei awa noa makano fia, e maisi le whamoi moe le Samoa Capital Radio. O te whatu lau atu le pa ia malu Samoa poto, ma role lang matafi. I look, my name is Superintendent Fata Willie Whanene, and I'll be speaking on behalf of police today. I want to acknowledge Reverend Nove Vaila'au and our Reverend Fathers and Church Ministers that are here today. Also our Samoan High Commissioner to New Zealand, Leasi Papali'i Tommy Scanlon, and your whaletua. And of course our Worship the Mayor, Poriarua, Anita Baker, and our Deputy Mayor, Izzy Ford, who I walked from when we parked our car way up Bungavan Ave. And also the New Zealand On Air Chairman, CEO, Cameron Harland. My relationship with Samoa Capital Radio goes back to 2010, but the police's relationship with Samoa Capital Radio goes back much further. And I've had to sit down with some of the our officers that were on the radio at that time to talk about when that relationship started. And you would have heard Afamasanga talk about volunteers when he started up the radio station, and I think police were part of those volunteers that helped get the radio station established. So you would have heard that Samoa Capital Radio was first established in 1992. Following its establishment, a New Zealand police officer of Samoan descent by the name of Detective Tafa Max Misiotele To'o, or Max as we call them, commenced the police program on Samoa Capital Radio on a weekly basis in the Samoan language. Sua, who hosts the current police program, tells me that in those days it was informal and there was no set time, but was done whenever Tafa was available. And this aligns with what Afamasanga said about, everyone do it on a voluntary basis. During the police program, Tawha talked about police matters and answered the community questions about policing laws in New Zealand. In 1995, Tawha retired from police, but was still involved with New Zealand Police as an advisor, and so he continued to host the police program. In 2003, Inspector Tōmata Api Fiso, who was appointed as the first National Pacific Strategic Advisor for Police, in his new role, Tōmata set up a pilot program with Samoa Capital Radio, together with Awhamasanga, and this ran for 10 weeks. Now, this was a time when the relationship between the police and our Pacific and Samoan community was at a low point right across the country. Tōmata set up at the time a similar program in Auckland, and the program was run by our Pacific Liaison Officer in Auckland, Inspector Silafanga Siaki, and you will have seen that Awhamasanga talk about a program that they did jointly with the Samoan radio stations in Auckland. So the programs were in the Samoan language and talked about police matters and community concerns. The program focus was to build bridges with Pacific and Samoan communities. Another of the program's focus was to encourage our Pacific people to join the police, because one of the things we needed was our makeup of our organisation to reflect the community, the growing Pacific community that was the makeup of the New Zealand population. And so within those radio programs, we discussed what was required in order to join the police. After 10 weeks of the pilot program, police saw the need to continue the program, and the feedback from the community was very positive, and they wanted the program to continue. And you would have heard that the police program is probably one of the most popular programs on Samoa Capital Radio. The weekly police program on Samoa Capital Radio continues on to this day and is still conducted in the Samoan language. It's currently hosted by Sua Whaamawalalo Petelo Sangato and has a time slot which is every Thursday at 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. if you want to ring in. It covers all matters that affect our Samoan and Pacific communities. Over time, Sua has hosted specialist Pacific police officers. I'm not sure whether he's hosted anyone in the armed offender squad, but if he does, you tell him to leave his guns at home. And they've discussed their work and their specialist roles so our people can understand the different roles of policing. The police radio program on Samoa Capital Radio has delivered live on Samoa Capital Radio app, their Facebook page and YouTube. And me personally, if I want to watch a particular, something that's of particular interest to me, I'll go on the Facebook page and watch it live. And if I miss it, I'll go back later after work and link into their page and watch the videos that they've pasted on their Facebook page. Look, finally, I just want to say that police have tried to support the program over the years, but I will be the first to admit that we can do better. And with the establishment of our new work group by our new commissioner, we're resetting that relationship, Awhamasanga, and I can tell you now that from this year onwards, we will be providing regular support for the program. So thank you very much. And look, congratulations again. And I just want to say that the reason why we support your program, because it's a very important means of communication that enables police to deliver key information that will assist our Samoan and Pacific communities, not only reduce our harm in communities, but lift our levels of well-being. And the best example of that was during COVID. Without these radio programs, there's no way we could have got our messages out. So thank you and congratulations.
Doesn't it sound nice that he's promised another 50,000? O lea e mata watu e aita la full vaenga lea on air. I'm just saying that previously they have had free time on air many years ago, so they are in arrears in terms of paying more funding to the Sefongo Laumua. Yeah, Victoria University supports us by providing young people that come through and entertain us on the radio, and also a number of research that they initiate with the us in the radio. So I'm not sure who's here. Whaalinga leo tapu and tapu vea. Yeah, sumaya.
Tai tonu ua te langi le fitu tai matangi o le whaapolo ma le whaasangi ia wale tua malona finangalu. Ia veia le nei tu la, ia o te whaatuloa tua i le paia maulunga o le awhia, ia o mawhai o na tātou whaatasi, ia le alofa ma le anga lei o le tātou tapa au langi, sunga whaafengenga mo tau whalitua, ia le tātou tamā, ia le haiko imsina, ia lo fionga le asi, ia meise o au sina si o tātou atunu, ia se i o lava inai tamā ma nei tina, ia e meise foi malo si le atunu nei au talavou ia e meise nei whanau tulona ta alofa lava avei ia lo fatau va e fai masui o le afionga ia luman vau te muni leipen ia ua le mawhai ona au wai mai tātou maftanga ono nisi foi o fuafuanga ia tunu i fafu ia e fai eisina tala pupu le o mai tau watu ia o lo o tū le va ia ono o me tau sami foi ia wa foi ne yaso malona fa martino ia ai o se saunoanga nei ia po se tala atu foi le nei tu la aso e mole atu le anga faftai ia ile siu fonga foi o lau mua ia le fionga ia afa masanga e mai se foi ia le latu au fenga luenga ia ai mai se foi le komiti ia pe ona maua tu foi ia mole atu le anga faftai ono maftanga foi ia mai se foi nga luenga fai fatasi ia ma le Universite o Victoria o le Universite Malosi e valu Universite te tono Aotearoa nei ia o le Universite lava lea ia o le Universite Pito i Malosi lava lea te tono o le laumua ia e pe ona o tau whaafonga ia o le Universite o Victoria ia sa onga i fo ia tangaloa ia o le ia mau atu sa maua nei ona tinga ina aso ia a le ua maangalo uma ia ai mole atu le anga whaatai o le tāua o le maftanga ina ia whaau le ngangana o le vaenga tāua lava lea mo i mātou le universite ia nofo malama fo ina i o tātou mātua na i o tātou whaife au e ka le sia ia i meo lo tutupu tutono le universite ia ua avea i lo whatau va ia ua o le whaftai ia e tu mau le atua ia ona i mātua fo ina ia au mai ia fo i lo nei tangata ia umawhai ei ona maua le vaenga tā ua tātou ngangana ina ia whaau au le tātou ngangana ia i tutonu o le universite ia e meise foi i le nofo malama o le tātou atunu ia i meo lo tutupu ia e mole atuale anganga whaftai a whamasanga ia e meise foi le tau au whainga luenga ia ono tātou maftanga tatonu o atu le luas fultau sanga ia le tātou maftanga ia pe ona maua tu foi le fionga ia ngalmalmana Alfred Hankin, ia o ia fo ile sa fai mawhai a onga ia mātou le universite. Ia i lasu, ia moli atu ele anganga whaftai, ia e meise fo le pa ia o le tātou atunu, ia o tau tāpua inga, ia o le tala lava, ia e le sili lava ta ina i lo tāpuai, e moli atu ele anganga whaftai, ia ono fufuanga fo ia o le universite, ia umawhai ona whatau nu, mai lasu, se ia o mai lava nei teimi, ia se ia o fo i nisi fo i o alo o le atau mawhai. Ia o le whiwhianga lava o le universite mo nei whanau o lo whaau i te tono o le universite. Wa avea fo i le awala leo. Ia e mawhai ona whaasala lau atu wai nisi o whaau. Ia ina ia whiwhia le tātou atu nu. Ia ma tātou patipatia ia le lātou whinaunga i te tono o onga mawarunga. Ia peo se tala atu nā nei tū la. Ia ole atu nātu si o wole i o tafa. O si o wole ole tonga. O tonga e sa weistene le. E ui lava ina whaia ina latou au. Ia ole atu upe iai. Ia ina ia whatau nu atu i le ngangana ingilisi. Le ua mai atu le tātou lava ngangana. Ia ole atu inatu ia tapu vea. Ia wa fo il wha liwina. Ia mo nisi fo i le maram lama tātou ngana ma whalo lava whaftai.
Talofa lava, everyone, and like to acknowledge everyone who's here present and the dignitaries and our community and the church leaders and also our wider community here. Yes, I'm that voice, guys, that's been on radio for the last 10 years or so. I'd like to acknowledge the Whamasanga and your wonderful team for allowing us to spread the word of education. And thank you so much for your space that we can be able to delve into and do what we need to do. My name is Tapuvea. Yes, I'm not Samoan, but I think I'm the only MMT here. So, and I really am honoured to be part of this space with Whalinga Leota, and we are the educationaries. And when I think about our role is, you know, we think about our missionaries, and they go spread the word of God. Our role is here to spread the word of education. And we're really grateful to be in a space that we can go on a mission and do that on behalf of our Samoan community here across New Zealand, but also across the Pacific. It's really important that we acknowledge this partnership that we have with Samoa Capital Radio for over 20 years. We'd like to acknowledge our predecessor, Siringa Ngao, who was in this role, who built that platform for us to come and do what we need to do. You probably don't hear me on radio of recent because I've been demoted. And so that's why we've got Whalinga who does everything now. So, you know, now Tonga has to follow Samoa rather than Samoa follow Tonga. But I think in the reflection of the work that we do here with Te Ringa Waka, Victoria University Wellington, or Samoa Capital Radio, it's about spreading the word and making sure that our families are informed of the education. And so I know, Whamasanga, you might be biased because your children all went through Te Ringa Waka, Victoria University Wellington, but you say you're the leader of this organisation, is the leading voice for radio across New Zealand, and I believe that we're the leading university. And when we partner together, it makes it a lot more worthwhile. And you guys know that full well. The proverb is, iron sharpens iron, so one does for another. And I think that's what happens here right now. Samoa Capital Radio, Te Ringa Waka have this awesome partnership for over 20 years. And we value the work that you do. Whamasanga Tufoe and the rest of the team here at Samoa Capital Radio, we appreciate all the times that you guys have given us. You work around us rather than us work around you. I think that's beautiful. And I think that's really great that we can have an opportunity where Samoa Capital Radio can do that for us. But if we think a lot about media channels and a lot about news, here's the thing. People are looking for authenticity. They're looking for real messages and real news. And when that comes from an interview with Whamasanga and the team, real stuff is dropping in to people's radars, to people's homes, to people's visions, and everything like that. And Whamasanga, you do that so well. You're thinking about what do the parents need to know and how can I articulate that question so I can ask that to Whalinga and you and myself around what are we doing for Victoria? Are we supporting? Are we creating these graduates to produce more engineers, more technicians, more doctors, more teachers, any discipline we think of, any career role, we are always thinking about that. And if there's anything that I want to leave with us for Te Ringa Waka, Victoria University Wellington, on behalf of Whalinga, myself, and also the bus speaker team and community at our university, is this, that people, there's a proverb that talks about that, you know, where there is no vision, people will perish. And Whamasanga, you and your team, you guys not only just carry vision, but you execute vision at the same time. Thank you for carrying that offer and mawhana for our community across New Zealand and across the South Pacific. It is a voice and a channel that we do really value, and I hope and pray that we can be able to fund this more in the years ahead. So, whawhatae te lava to everyone. God bless you all, and thank you so much. Malo.
Malo au pito, the Tongans taken over 5 minutes. You wouldn't believe it. I will invite Gail Marshall, Lafiongalo, Brian Duffy. They are from the Milligan Institute of Medical Research, and they have played an important part during the COVID pandemic. And if you may allow Fiong.
Whaatala whātu le paiman malu Samoa poto. O la le whaia se la unga o na manu taimi. Te ton fo I wa vela whala. Ai se whātu se tal pupu o re tu atu I la o. Wō lea. o a wai faisi level o asosile I le litio. Te rona amata mai de iwa lua. Te tono si le fie tātou I le pia whaera vai maru. I o le pia na maa whaia mara uo siamani, pito nei. E ma wharongorongo mai whasa lau litio. I reiwa lua. E rei roa nao. Ia na maa nei ala, e tālo le tasi ua o tāpuni litio le na aso. I o tu I mawhai toa o mai tamau, tau ili ma tia watu puspia. Ia ai te ua, mulmuli ane. Ina ua, te opo, se fulinga nusu tau sanga o ngā lua whasusu e nusila. Ai mawhtau ilo ma la fionga hamsanga, ma pamaria mai pen whaina whaise po kalame a susenga la whasaintisi, e tatona na tō sirisia e po kalame o whaisi lewa. Ia o te mana tuaila le taimi pe ona tatanga hamsanga pe mawhai ona se mai moanga ale le tioma le pe o tawhanga mua la na mua lewa noa, tō mai ale. E pūrenga susenga nusila. Sa mawhai ona matua siasi atui. I whare su e maru nusila le Gracefield. Le sa matua wai whaatasi ma le tātou komisina. Le fionga leasi. Ia ma afumsanga ma lana awhenga luenga. O whare su e nusila le sona wha tatala ina tātalau tere. Te loe tere al Palmia, Minsta, tāta maulunga ano. E pui le meole o su enga. Pui mo technology. Ai le sa ono le whaaloalo le mātou mawhtanga le sa maua le awa noa tātou komisina ma amsanga na ngā o le si ta whaonga le sa atu I susanga mātou al taimire o whaisusuenga o le COVID. E le sona tatala fo I whaisusu a le sa mua le manoa le awhenga ruenga. Pei o tūlanga na le mātou so ta inga ma la fionga amsanga ma la awhenga ruenga. Ia e maise ia Pei o nei whawhesidi o tato atunu e ala mai da fionga msanga. Ini mata upu e ono manao mia e sefso soani. I o le ala na laina mafua na po kalame. Ai o taimi nei. O lea o toi whalau tele atu. O lea lau a mai I le staffa mātou e ala mai da fionga mātou taitai. Professor Graham. O lea o wai mo mai mātou scientist e whaia ia whatano anga nunga litio ina ia mo se mamla maanga o tātou. Ai mai se ale le me tāua le tau tāua lau iai. O lau ua maua le whafo le kānesa. Pei la le tāua lana o le pokalame la rea mātou. O le toe mana o mia teleni vai la au. O lea o talitono ina mātou ngā luenga le atua na whai le atua tangata. O lea o whao ngā ina mātou ngā luenga le tino tangata lato. Lea lau manu ia le tau mawhainga mua. O lea lai whaatani tau whainga nona lua. I whao ngā ina la o le toina mamalama le morkanesa. Pela tulanga la na le la o mātou whaatasi ma saintisi nei. E whai se lato talapupu I le fuafuanga ia wa ia le tato le tio Samoa laumua. Mato ngā susuenga whapenei. O mātou o susuenga whaamai ma whaapena. Pe susuenga mātou I e whai ia o ngā whafomai. La watu la lava noa le mātou communication manager. Pe o ia le na te whaasoasoanga mo I pokalame ia. O ia fo ia wa tuena mam la matulanga ia wa o ia tono la pa la o ia tate paso soai po kamia fa litio ia heno to keo
Talofa lava and happy birthday Samoa Capital Radio. Thank you so much for having us here today. I do extend apologies from Professor Graham LeGros, who would have loved to have been here today and will be very envious when I describe what this morning has been like. But I'm really privileged to be here today with my colleague Brian Duffy and Dr. Rachel Perrott down there, who's a cancer immunotherapy specialist. We have enjoyed, just quickly, the Milligan Institute, for those of you who don't know, is a biomedical research institute based in Wellington. We're an independent charity, so I'm afraid we're not going to be giving you $50,000. And we've enjoyed an amazing relationship with Samoa Capital Radio over the last year or so, particularly through the COVID pandemic, but beyond that too. The relationship is based on, as Victoria University was saying, on education, on sharing knowledge and reaching the community and the people out there to make sure that they can understand the science that is behind the COVID vaccines that have been rolled out. And we've enjoyed monthly interviews in Samoa Capital Radio, initially with Brian and then a lot with Graham talking vaccines. And then also some of our other scientists talking about the wonders of the immune system, because the focus of our research at the Milligan Institute is about how we can harness the immune system to improve human health and save lives. And obviously with the COVID pandemic, people have probably learned more about the immune system and about vaccines than ever before. And certainly Afa Masanga has probably learnt a lot of terms, or needed to learn a lot of terms in Samoan about the immune system that he's never had to before. So we've had some lovely interviews, and I've really enjoyed coming for cups of tea and banana bread before the interviews every month. So once again, happy birthday, and thank you so much for including us, and we look forward to an ongoing relationship.
Milligan Institute. And our final speaker, who will, our partner, Yela Wafionga Nanai, Patimwa Sumaya, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Pacific Health Services in Hutt Valley. Yeah, Whaftai.
Ole alele paia whaavatiwa au loloa paia ole ne yaso. Paia whaale atunu, paia whaale maalo, e maise paia whaale atua. E a fua maili mata saua ole tui manua. Se ia pa ia ala o manu e le wia. Whaaftaitele mo le ne awa no wha auro. Ma ole au le tue sisi fo ila le na aloa ma whaapulou le na afoe. Wa wei foi whangatia tua mawha fili malai. Sa lio leo sai le tua sivi o lupe pa panga tā le seunga ma le tō whapa ia. A o se mwawhi talai i le fofonga o le aso. Manato lele wa usi ma tau le sila mio ma le whaamatenga o tō lounga. Wa e tapola whaala au tua oi le ala na tai. Wale moyo le ne yaso. My first contact with Samoa Capital Radio was in 1989 when I was contacted by Ngalu Malemana Alfred Hankin. Malefionga ya tau ili a o whatau teia le polkalame i to tonu o le ofisa o le whasaralaua Māori e ta ua o le teupoko teika. Ona o le taimilea sa o ngalua i tonu o le New Zealand Council of Trade Unions. Ia imata upulava tau tulafono mo tangata whainga luenga. O le whaatalanoanga mua sa whaia ia i te tonu au sina tamai potu. Ai sa mai tau wina i lea taimi, le toa te leo tātou o tunuu, e mana o mia le fsoasoani, e mana o mia lea i tu a inga au o nanga, e whaasoa tu ai whaamatalanga te tau, ma whaamatalanga o ngā, ia a wālawa le soifuanga i te tonu o New Zealand. O le mai le taimi la lea a o tau mawhai ia nei fo'i tamali i o le atunuu. E unai i le mta upu tonu o le New Zealand on air. Sa a mata mai lava le ta ilua i tū la i tonu o le teupoko teika i le afiafi. Lua aso le vai aso o ina tolu o ina wha. Se ia o lava ina au maile le whaatangaina ma ua ioeina e le New Zealand on air. Lea ua mafuai o na utou sila mio le nei aso, tolu se fulu tausanga mai le tasi le afe, iwa se lau iwa se fulu ma le lua na whaamanatu ina ai. Tele o nisi o lo il nei potputonga, ia o lo sila fia le por kalame o tula fono mo tangata whainga luenga, se fulu tausanga o whaatauteia pe ilunga o tātou le tio a le Samoa Capital Radio. Ona o le nganga fia fisosoani ia i o tātou tangata a o whenga iai ma ngā luenga i tonu o New Zealand. Ua alualuai whaafitai, o te tonu lava e ao na mawalunga le whaafitai i le ala leo lea maoli, le teupoko te ika. Ona o le hava noa e le i au mai e ni pālangi, ai o le vale lei lava a le sa whaurulu i le teupoko te ika, ma le fionga i angal malmana. Le ana mau aitu la e lua na amatai i le nei wha moe moe, mai le tausanga e tasi le afe, iwa se lau varusifu ma le iwa. O le nei aso ma le wha moe moe. O te tonu ua tele swinga ua iai ia le social media le nei vai taimi. Tele ia lu i tau o lo whiangai ma le leitio i tūlanga pe ona iai le tau vanga o lo whaia i le Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, o nei platforms umalawa. A le whao ngā ina le lei e le Samoa Capital Radio o te teletonu o le a te le a whaina. Paua le nā o le lui tau a whamsanga, lea ua a matau na laa i le tūlanga o si fonga le lau mua i se tūlanga e ese le tāua o le whao ngā ina o platforms ia ina ia wha le lei a tili ai le au nanga ia i o tātou tangata ia e maise lava le tātou ngana Samoa. Leiti o le wai ai teimi nei alu o wai ia le nā mawhitanga sa whaia mai ma le trade union ia o na suia fo i leo ngā luenga ua mafua ai le nei aso ma le tātou partnership, tātou whainga paanga e ala le Pacific Health Service Hat Valley. Olo o fio mai le fionga le teitei fono, le sunga le whawhiangainga ia Reverend Auliko, ia o ia lea o le sui o Samoa i te tonu o le komiti whaafoe a le Pacific Health Service Hat Valley. E tautala pēr ma le whaaloalo, au ngā ia por kalame o lo whaia, nisi fo i o taimi ia e mai tauina, ia e pei fo i lea o se leiti o e whai eni tāu vanga whaasala launga o tāpua i ngā lotu. Ia ele lei foi, ele lei, pauale mea tāua, ia maua se vi inga o le atua i por kalame o lo whaia. O le tilo mātou mai le i tū lea tau di soifua mālolo ina. Wha mālo whai o le whaiva. Whawhitai mo lo tau pito la au. O le au nanga e le whaingo fie. Tōru se furu tau sanga, ia au te tonu o te le swinga, e o mai le taimi nei, i le vai la o le leiti o, tau mawhai ina ia pi atu pēr i swinga o le technology o lo ia i le taimi nei. O le manatu i le nei aso, whaatai so mātou leo, whai ia umasui, o le komiti whaafoe ma le fionga le teitei fono ia Reverend Vainga Auliko. Whai mea alofa atuai i lo waso whanau. E lima awhe tāla ia e amata liai ia slau tau whaaputunga atupe ia au ase maota e tua ia i le sāo si ufonga lau mua i le lumanai. Lau fionga il purisili, lau fionga afamasanga, a pia fo i lau fionga ile, teitei fono male, pa ia i lau whai ngā ruenga. Whamalo le tau atai. Whaftai le on sai ma le whatoatoa. O upua le atunuu. Ua tū le whaila ua tali le whalana lafo I luma mo le au talanga. O le isi tolu sifuru tau sanga o luma nai. O le amana tua ai au tau ngā luenga. O le nei tolu sifuru tau sanga. Whaamanuia le atua au e alo whaiva e tau tua Samoa. E ala I le au onanga. Si fonga lau mua. Ia whaangana ina oe le atua I le ngangana whtālai ma le tautua upu. Ma ia tūmula utu I le tō whaama mao ma le utanga lo loto. Au wāle whaasau ngā Samoa o le au mamala. Maua pēa so mātou mālosi e lango sua I lau tō pito la au. So I fua mai manuia.
Whaftai lau whionga na nai, Pacific Health Services I Bali whaftai mo whaamanuianga. Ia, mal mea alofa le tua toi wha po ina nisi mea ua whaamanoa ina o nau mātou. Ia, o le taimile nei, we are very close to our lunch. And we have a song to sing. And Afamasanger and the staff have learned this song. And you will see the lyrics of the songs are about the history of Sipufonga o le laumua. Ia. Whamalulu atu le bainga le e paulua o la tu leo. Ia ele faina. Ia mai se plate. You know, for those who, you that, you know, have joined us today, the whole song and the lyrics is about the history of Samoa Capital Radio. And I think the team is all here, and I'll let them do their thing.
Yeah, it's time for stretch. You feel free to stand up for a little while we set ourselves up. And then after this song, we will have lunch.
Just 1, 2.
Check 1, 2.
Testing 1, 2.
Testing 1,
Testing 1, 2.
Testing 1, 2.
2.
2. Talova.
Testing 1, 2.
2.
Samoa ia iwi au te le toe au talaina I sa'u tau tualo whai whai
se fulua I nei tau sanga le atua ia tau taina. Ma leifua mai le tae ao fo I lau tapua I ngā amata. O whaafea ngai ngai o lātou whaiha wale o la whaalea nganga. Sina tau le tae ao se vaila au I o mawhatianga. O nai tala whauma tala mai sa mo lau tau tua le whaailoa. Le si ufofonga o le lau mua lau le itio I ao te aroa. O te pese pese atua I mawhaafia fia mo o e Samoa au o e fefe. O so o ai le lalo langi atoa. E mo mai le moli o le ava o se whaasoa mo lo uanganga. Ai whaamana tu mai pea mo lo soifua malolo ina. E pese pese mai o le tula fono ina ia taula sa o loto. Awe o tina masia na vala au ua au la ugina I lau. E alua so ai saua so I talalau aluna o le vai aso. Ai o nai asia singa e talosia I o e tinga ina. Ai ole ola oa o ina o nai tupulanga whaataua ina. Le ape foe whaatini o la tāwho langa ua I usa uni tau mawhainga. Le si ufofonga o le lau mua lau le itio I ao te aroa. O te pese pese atua I mawhaafia fia mo o e Samoa au e fefe. O so o ai le lalo lagi atoa. E lalo langi o aso nei e matau ni lele ai la fi masei. Ai malupe ai puena o so fina nalo ini e se senga. Awai poto le tau tai ai le atoa I si o na waa. Awao Samoa e o le amamala o le penina o le nevasa. Sa le whaingo fie le amamataina o le nengaluenga. Sa I lima fesili po le mea e ao ia ini masini. E te onolo si whaao na pone I ua iai fo I makomi piuta. Have Facebook, YouTube, wata whailangi ai a uwha asala launga. Have Facebook, YouTube, wata whailangi ai a uwha asala launga. Le si ufofonga o le lau mua lau le tio I ao te aroa. O te pese pese atua I mawhaafia fia mo o e Samoa au e fefe. Wa so o ai le lalo langi atoa. Tailawa.
Ia this is time to fa fonga le fa fi tu le foi pese si fonga la mo. Pe fa lo engagement lumanai ma le community. O le sile a wala me fa on tal no e ma fa so a e ta tom ta o pe fo tal no ta ya nei. Ia fa ta to pes senga mai ma tua. O lo ta wa fo fa ili mo tu pulanga talabo. O le sila sanga na wanga e si fonga lo mo ma ta to nga i lumanai. Ia le o ta pena mal ta to sanga o le uli. Ia ona o lo e fo le ava no mo ni si fitu o langa le pisis. Ia o te mile e ava no me fa yan to tu muli. Pa tai lava le afio mai.
So for any birthday or for any anniversary, we have a cake. And cakes are there to eat, to cut and eat. So we will do that before, everyone is invited up to serve yourself. And vala watu ile faltua ya fereni. Stasi o tautua, o level tautua ile officer nei. Susumai lau sungal faltua. Makipir kako keke o tae au. So I'm going to ask the longest serving board member of the radio to come and cut our cake. Manuia lo aso whanau. Pati mai, whaafitaitina. Ia, masalo o le a tātou walo i le tausamaanga. Ia ai usu mai le tātou pese masani o le lotu o mea ai. Mali e pulele. Ia, o le mea masani, mua.
Pere pa ia lau fai ngā ruenga. Lau whianga, hai komisinga le maro kuko kase o Samoa i sifu. Ai mai se pa ia manu malu o Samoa o poko. O kaukala ni kaukeu ma le whaararo ma mauma ni mimrisia. O liu whawhaoe ni whianga ni kai whango. Ma le raura au ako. Ai mai se le whianga ni makua le usani ma le. Ma le au fai ngā ruenga. Ngā ua pere malu ka ua whanga o uma o kaukeu inga i o keunga ma ka ngofie. Kai keu. Kai whaararo.